Hello everybody, Wochi here. I thought that probably I should be recording a little bit of a different video for you guys to explain you what actually is Dungeons and Dragons for those who don't know it. Especially with the upcoming projects that I am going to be working on, and especially after last night with the restart of Season 3 of Critical Role. To do this, I'm going to be using characters that I've been using for a campaign, and you will see that it probably, by the look of it, it's like a higher level character, but I will just use this one as sort of template to explain in details, but not too much, what every number that you will see on your character sheet actually means. Every character on Dungeons and Dragons has 6 main statistics: Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma, with a starting value between 3 and 18. These values usually are rolled with dice, and you usually roll 4 dice with 6 faces, 4d6, like we usually say, and you remove the lowest one of the 4. In that case, it gives you a bit more of option in case you roll very badly. So every one of these numbers is also associated with a specific type of bonus. So, for example, a 15 is corresponding to a +2, an 11 is a 0, 17 is a 3, and such. All these numbers represent your statistics, like in every RPG you ever played, both on paper if you are not a new player, or online on a video game or whatever. You will know that this represents yourself. So strength is clearly the statistics that revolves around your physical prowess. Your attacks, the melee attacks in particular, are based on this statistic, and also it revolves around some other tests, like we will see later, athletics and climbing stuff and such other things. Dexterity is your ability to avoid being hit, but also it is your ability with ranged attacks, both with weapons and with spells. It also determines, in association with the type of armor you're going to be wearing, your armor class, which is the value that your enemies has to match or go over with their rolls for attacks in order to be able to hit you. Constitution is, of course, your physical presence, your toughness, and it determines basically the main stats is for the hit points. There are other things associated with Constitution, like resisting poison or other magical effects, but mostly is known for just how many hit points you have. Intelligence, of course, is another statistics that, as the name says, is your mind acuity, and is one of the main statistics for classes like mages. The higher it is, the more effective your spells are, and also the more some of your other tests related to magic are gonna work better. Same thing for wisdom, is a nuance on intelligence, and is again the main statistics for some of the classes that we can play in this game. In this case, for me, is very high because I'm a cleric, and cleric spells gets better the more wisdom you actually have. Charisma, of course, is the ability to talk in public, the ability of bartering your way into trade or trying to escape a situation that will lead probably in a huge fight, but maybe with some words it can get better and you can get out of this situation. And it's also the statistics for other classes like bards that will determine how effective are your spells. In addition to all of these, we have the saving throws. These, of course, only take in consideration of your bonuses, which are below your statistics over here, and it will be used to escape or to save yourself, like the name of course says, from tricky situation like resisting a spell or trying to resist fatigue or things like this case. Every occasion will be the dungeon master will tell you, please can you roll a wisdom saving throw, and if you fail, bad things happen usually, and if you succeed, good things happen, or no bad things will happen in that case. You see that there is a little dot over here, which is called proficiency. Proficiency is a flat number that increases the more you level, every 5 levels, if I'm not mistaken, and it starts as a +2. This proficiency means that in some of the stuff you're going to be doing, you are very good at them. So in addition to just having a flat-out bonus given by your statistic, you also get an extra one because you're very good. In this case, the cleric has proficiency in wisdom and charisma saving throw, which means that my wisdom and charisma saving throw are higher than the usual because I'm good at avoiding this type of stuff. Same thing over here with the skills. Some of the skills have a dot, which means that instead of adding just the modifier that is listed here under the mod column, I can also add my proficiency bonus. In this case, for insight, I add to my wisdom, which is 4, my current proficiency bonus, which is 3, because I'm level 5. So you can start to see that all the numbers have meanings, and there are not too many to keep track, because all you can see here at the moment is what you're gonna read for most of the times you've been playing Dungeons and Dragons. So all these informations are all you need. But let's say that we want to actually make an attack. Each weapon that we are gonna use have their own type of damage, like blunt damage, piercing, slashing, and so on. And not only that, they have, each of them has an individual type of damage. In this case, for Warhammer, as you can see, I'm hovering here, it is a 1d8, so 1 dice of 8 faces, +2. This is being rolled, and the result is how much you inflict damage, in terms of damage, to your enemy. How do you hit? You hit an enemy by rolling a d20, which is going to be the most used dice in all the play we're going to make, and you add your attack bonus. In this case, is going to be based about your strength, which is +2, and in this case, +3 for my proficiency. So the total is going to be +5. So you roll a d20, let's say that you roll a 13, +5 is an 18, your opponent had armor class 16, so that's a hit. And if it is a hit, then you roll for the damage, and that's how many hit points he's gonna remove from himself. Of course, all different types of attack have different type of damage, range, bonuses, and whatnot. So let's say, for example, that I'm using a spell, which is my guiding bolt, which is you literally throw a bolt of holy light to your opponent. In this case, I have +7 because my proficiency is also, so my +4 of wisdom, adding the proficiency makes it +7, which means that this is going to be my attack roll for that. And it being a ranged attack, of course, this is going to be an interesting fight, okay? In this screen is probably that's all going to be needing for you. There is a lot more in terms of statistics and other things, but this is basically the core of your character sheet. So this is how you, as I said earlier, this is what you're going to be looking at most of the time, and this is what is going to be you've been facing. If you are a spellcaster, you're probably going to have a screen like this with all your spell added, but this is going to be something that you're going to be taking care if you are, of course, a casting class. And each of these have a description for the spell and an effect of the spell. Just to give you a quick insight on this, each spell can be of 3 can be cast in 3 ways: with a verbal component, with a somatic component, and with oh dear God, verbal, somatic, and with a regent, with a material component. So basically, I had a bit of a issue there with the memory. Each of them can be cast normally, but if you are, for example, being silenced, you cannot cast spells with a verbal component because you can't physically speak. If you need a somatic component, it means that you need to do gesture, but if you are restrained, you can't cast those type of spells. And if you're missing a specific regent with a material component, then the spell cannot be cast. I usually tend to use only verbal and somatic because there's a lot going on with materials. You need to have a pouch for them. You need to remember to go to town and shop for them. It's a lot of work around it, and if you are in a critical situation and you forgot for that day to bring the specific powder, things can go south very quickly. So this is just another insight of how things work. Last things I'm going to cover is rolling in advantage and rolling in disadvantage. So there are cases in which the Dungeon Master will ask you to roll a test or an attack with advantage. In that case, you roll your d20, you add your bonus for attack, but you roll 2 of them, and you keep the highest of the 2. Same thing if he has to ask you to roll in disadvantage, it's going to be 2 d20s, add your bonuses, and take the lowest. That is to simulate a real advantage or disadvantage. Let's say that you are attacking the same monster from 2 sides. The second person that is attacking a monster that is already engaged gains advantage on attack because your enemy is already busy from another side because somebody else is attacking you. So you gain an advantage because he's not taking care too much of you because you are on his blind spot. But the same thing if you are trying to do a jump while walking on an ice surface, that is going to be a very unlikely jump. So in that case, it will be an athletics check, but with disadvantage because you are not very stable on thin ice. So that is the simulation of not being good at doing that in that specific situation. There are lots of different combinations, but usually advantage, 2 d20s, take the highest. Disadvantage, 2 d20s, take the lowest. And that's, I believe, that's the very basic of everything that I can probably explain to you in this first thing. If this thing is useful for you, I can go a little bit more in depth on the explanations and make maybe other videos about this. I hope it was useful for you, and I will see you around. Bye-bye.